You said you don't know Iron Mouse? What the hell? You said, why is the Sony PlayStation 3 so hard to develop games for? All right, we're about to speed this shit up.
The Sony PlayStation 3 has a reputation for being a difficult machine to develop games on. Gabe Newell, the president of Valve, hated the PlayStation 3, calling it a frustrating architecture and a waste of everyone's time. There's nothing here that you're going to apply to anything else. You're not going to gain anything except a hatred of the architecture that they've created, he said. Harsh words indeed. In the end, Valve let Electronic Arts handle the PlayStation 3 port of the Orange Box, which turned out to be a less than stellar port with sluggish frame rates. But on the other side of the spectrum, we saw masterpieces such as Uncharted 2, The Last of Us, and Gran Turismo 5 that looked and ran amazingly well and still hold up even to this day. Yet many of the cross-platform Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 games seem to run worse on the PS3 for no real apparent reason. Was the system hard to develop for, or was there something else going on? Let's try to answer that by first taking a look at the architecture and comparing it to the Xbox.
You know what it was? Is that these developers, they were so lackluster in the brain department that they couldn't figure out the architecture. They couldn't manufacture or make games for the PS3 because the PS3 was just too fucking far ahead of its time.
360, which had a reputation for being easy to develop games for and ran code faster. The Sony PlayStation 3 utilizes the cell architecture that was made famous due to its prominence in parallel computing. By utilizing multi-cores, lots of threads could be spawned to achieve amazing results with a single processor. The PS3 CPU is known as the PPE, or Power Processing Element, and it was a PowerPC-based chip that ran at 3.2 GHz with 2 hardware threads. In comparison, the Xbox 360 also has a PowerPC-based CPU and also runs at 3.2 GHz. Known as the Xenon processor, it can have up to 6 hardware threads. Now you're probably thinking, 2 hardware threads compared to 6? Well, this isn't a fair fight. Surely the Xbox 360 would destroy the PlayStation 3 in performance, but this is not the full story.
And this is the origin of the PlayStation Xbox war. Xbox was feeling themselves in this era. Xbox was rubbing their nipples in this era. They're like, yo, we're so good. We're even paying for our online Xbox Gold membership, and y'all were feeling yourselves. Now that y'all guys are losing, you guys lost in the PS4 race, PS5 race, y'all guys been losing for years. And now y'all want to say on Twitter, it's not a competition. It's not a competition. Oh, it was a competition back in the day when y'all were winning though, right? But now it's not a competition.
As it turns out, the PS3 also has 7 additional processing units known as Synergistic Processing Elements, or SPEs. This is the secret weapon of the PlayStation 3 architecture.
You said I'll come back to you riding Sony dick again. Fernando, go play your underpowered Nintendo Switch and go get your battery placed again by Nintendo. Go get that shit replaced for a second time. Go play your underpowered ass console. Okay? My Galaxy S5 has a better processing power than the Nintendo Switch.
These SPEs have different usage scenarios, but in general they were used for running optimized parallel mathematical calculations. So for example, they would be used to manage things like cloth physics or particle updates. A game like Super Stardust HD calculated the collisions and physics of all objects on screen and ran at a locked 60 frames per second. And without the help of the SPEs, this would have been extremely difficult. On the other hand, the Xbox 360 through each of its cores has access to additional high performance.
Wait a minute. You say I'm having fun on my console. Hop off my dick, bro. Sir, you came in my chat literally ground pounding on my shit. Go play your underpowered console. Yo, Nintendo Switch. Oh, wait. You gotta replace your battery again, don't you? Go send that shit back to Nintendo, bro. Go replace your battery again. Go replace that shit.
Floating point vector operations utilizing the processor extension known as VMX128. Moving on to the GPUs, the PlayStation 3 has the RSX from NVIDIA, while the Xbox 360 uses the ATI-designed Xenos chip, with both chips clocking in at 500 MHz. So, back in 2005 and 2006, when the Xbox 360 and then later PlayStation 3 was released, a 3.2 GHz multi-core CPU sounded like a massive leap in performance of an upgrade as compared to the original Xbox, which was a single-core 733 MHz processor, and the PlayStation 2 was the Emotion Engine, which ran at 300 MHz. I remember when I moved on to homebrew development on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 after the days of the OG Xbox, I was originally very underwhelmed with the performance on both systems. It didn't feel like a 3.2 GHz CPU, and I wondered if there was something that I wasn't doing properly. It turns out, I just needed to think differently. Both the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 were designed with graphics as the big push. This was the HD era, and high-performing GPUs with fast graphics memory were available on both the PS3 and the Xbox 360. But in order to keep the cost of both consoles down, sacrifices needed to be made somewhere, and in both cases, it was the CPU. Although both systems ran a 3.2 GHz multi-threaded processor, both the Xenon and Cell processors were crippled. To elaborate further, both processors do not support what's known as out-of-order instruction execution. This is something that's almost standard on all PC-based processors, but it was removed on the consoles to reduce cost. If we consider these 3 lines of code, modern CPUs are designed to minimize any delay on instructions that don't have dependencies and execute them first. In this example, the second instruction that adds 2 to the variable x cannot run until the first line is finished. However, the assignment of y on the third line could be moved above the first line as there is no dependency on it. And this is what an out-of-order CPU would likely do. The bottleneck with the Cell and Xenon processors is that the CPU was not capable of reordering instructions, so here the third line must wait for the second instruction to complete before initializing y. This example may not sound like a big deal, but what if there were 2 functions that first did a complex math calculation and the second was some basic addition? The code would run the complex math calc first and then perform the basic addition. An out-of-order processor would most likely optimize this flow in order to minimize any stalls in the pipeline. There was also performance penalties on wrong branch prediction, and even worse, a CPU pipeline stall known as a load hit store. This is when you store a value in a memory location and retrieve it too soon after. These 3 limitations on the CPU alone would mean that code would run significantly slower than expected without developer optimizations. On the Xbox 360, some of these limitations could have been mitigated simply by breaking code out and utilizing 1 of 6 hardware threads available. Multi-threading, fast L1 cache, and a large amount of bandwidth really helped the Xbox 360's performance. On the PlayStation 3 with only 2 hardware threads, it meant utilizing the 7 available SPEs to offload code to. The problem was these SPEs were difficult and needlessly complex. Understanding how they worked would be tricky. Every developer has to start somewhere, and usually it's with a Hello World program. But what if we wanted to write a Hello World program that ran under one of the SPUs? This is where things start to get complex, and this example will outline the complexity of the development. The code will allocate 1 of the 7 SPUs and then create a thread group to run under. And once the thread group is created, the SPU thread is created to run in that group. With the thread created, an event queue then must be created to handle the output of the SPU. In this case, our Hello World output. This event queue is then attached to the PPU thread that's currently running to handle the event output. And finally, the SPU thread group is started so that the SPU can send its Hello World output. And of course, we must clean up the SPU thread at the end of execution. Something that traditionally would take 3 to 5 lines of code needs around 144 lines of code to receive a simple Hello World text output from one of the SPUs. TLDR, the learning curve to utilize and take advantage of the SPEs was large. The complexity was one of the main reasons why the PlayStation 3 games did not perform as fast as the Xbox 360 equivalents. On paper, the PlayStation 3 has more power than the Xbox 360, but most ports ran weaker on the PlayStation 3. Generally speaking, the reason for this goes back to time. In this age of cross-platform development, larger AAA releases are under tight deadlines. And because the PS3 and Xbox 360 share the same PowerPC architecture, it meant code was generally portable across both systems. However, while both systems share common elements, the PlayStation 3 in reality was quite different to the Xbox 360. If a game development started either on a PC or an Xbox 360, which many cross-platform games did, then it was necessary to re-engineer aspects of the game to run well on the PS3 to take advantage of the SPEs, which would require additional effort. And this was a common complaint by many developers. Usually, they were up against deadlines to deliver. The steep learning curve of making use of the SPEs meant project target deliverable dates would be put at risk. In the worst case scenario, some games did not even bother to utilize the SPEs and resorted to the PPE and RTX only. The Orange Box was a famous example of this. Electronic Arts' early Madden titles also struggled to run at good frame rates. They were direct ports from the Xbox 360 or PC with no SPE optimizations. In the media, the PlayStation 3 was getting a reputation for being a difficult machine to develop for. However, middleware tools like...
You said what? Is this a copy pasta? Nintendo at some point needs to stop the mid-generation console releases. At some point, they're going to have to rip the Band-Aid. Major jump on releasing the PS5, Xbox, or wait for the PS6. Oh, here we go. Nah. Hold on. I'm going to stop your bitch ass. I'm trying to read this shit, and then now you're going to... Nah, y'all dead. Oh, wait, Zazu, wait. As a matter of fact, Zazu's actually VIP. Hold on. I'll kill that motherfucker. That's even better. Perfect. All right. Nah, but... I agree, but I don't know if Nintendo's gonna do that, because Nintendo's in the constant headspace of like, you know, Nintendo just thinks about affordability and letting everybody buy the shit. And then whenever they release their consoles, it's always in the middle of the whenever they release a new console, it's always like way past the middle of the time span of the next gen console. Then when the next gen console like Sony and Xbox then create their new next gen console, Nintendo's always left behind. Like, hey, now we have a console that could potentially almost run as close to PlayStation 5 games, not even like directly PlayStation 5, like close to it, or close to Xbox Series X games. But we already at the PS6. We already on the Xbox Series 1080. I don't fucking know. Nintendo's always behind. It's selling a shitload.
Ayo, 36 months already? Sheesh. Also Manny Station when?
I ain't making no damn Manny Station. Thank you though. You saying can we talk about what? Can we talk about why Nintendo's games always stay the same price? That's a question that I wish I can ask too. Because they still got fucking a bunch of games in their library that's still $60. Exclusives are one thing, they need that power. Yeah, they got exclusives, but at the same time, it's like all their games run like shit sometimes though. You notice like a lot of these games, they run kind of like ass. Like they run 30 frames. The graphics is not even at 1080p. The graphics are all like at 720, 980. I don't fucking know, dude. You said Nintendo makes a console that actually focuses on power. That'd be nice, but obviously I feel like the price is going to go up. But my thing that I keep on saying is that if Nintendo was right now to come out with a $500 console, everybody's still going to buy it. If we could be real, everybody's still going to buy the console. So I don't understand why Nintendo's over here thinking about affordability. You could say, haha, I'm telling you right now. You could say haha all you want. You know damn well if Nintendo comes out with a $400 console, a $500 console, everybody's still buying it. People, the pre-orders is going to sell out. By the time Nintendo announces it and they're like, hey, pre-orders are open in all of these freaking retail stores, that shit is gone. Pre-orders are done. That's just going to be available nowhere. It's going to be like literally the PlayStation 5, where it's going to be damn near hard to obtain. And then obviously some people are going to have it. And then obviously you're going to find the market of dickheads, aka the scalpers, that are going to have that shit as well. It's going to sell out. You said, especially with people who have bots. I got to learn how to get myself some bots.
Like Havoc, a very popular physics and pathfinding API, started to take advantage of the Cell SPEs and took the burden away from the developer. Sony also encouraged developers to take advantage of the SPEs even in public forums. It took time, but the results paid off, especially during the last few years of the Sony PlayStation 3. We saw some amazing games that pushed the hardware to its limits. But I think the last word should go to Sony. Then CEO Kaz Hirai even admitted that Sony did not want to make it easy on the developers on the PlayStation 3. It's hard to program for, and a lot of people see the negatives of it. But if you flip that around, it means the hardware has a lot more to offer. But unfortunately, that's really the end of the story here, because with the current generation of home consoles like the Xbox One X and PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro, a almost identical set of architecture is used in both systems. So the ability for developers to extract the best performance out of the individual systems has really diminished these days, because for all intents and purposes, both systems are identical other than, you know, the underlying kernel and firmware that runs these systems, and some slight differences in things like memory bandwidth and, you know, CPU speed and performance.
You already know people's gonna be out there, especially in Manhattan. You already know there's gonna be another C&D out there. Like, I'm not gonna say it's C&D that's gonna be there, because I feel like he probably like is not gonna do things like that anymore. But you know damn well it's gonna be another C&D type person that's gonna be at the Nintendo line trying to do the same shit.
Easy to get the console ASAP.
Yeah, they gonna do that. It's gonna be like another Wario, and then Wario 64 gonna be sending them shits out. The Nintendo console is up for pre-order. Go quick! False alarm! It's sold out.
There is nothing that's kind of distinguishable between the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X that makes one system far superior than the other, or some secret weapon that particular system has that the other one doesn't. Now, you could say it's really a good thing in order to streamline game development and get things out multi-platform.
Nah, the only thing I can say about Fidel is that he has too much hope and he has too much trust in the Sega team. That's my only gripe about Fidel. Like, sometimes I wish I could meet him in person and look him in the eyes and be like, yo, stop putting your heart in the Sega team, bro. Like, I don't understand. You said Fidel will be online for a Sonic game frame 1? Bro, I want to just look at Fidel in the eyes and be like, bro, just because Sega gave you some tickets for the Sonic movie, don't let that shit blind you with how shitty their games are, bro. Like, I'm going to keep it a stack. Their games is ass.
perform all on the same day with as little additional optimization as necessary. But in another way, it's not a good thing because developers really, if they spent the time that you put into learning a system, a new architecture, you are rewarded with some amazing performance. And the best example of that would be the Uncharted series. If you look at the differences between Uncharted 1 and Uncharted 3, there was a massive leap in performance and visual quality overall because Naughty Dog themselves admitted that they were using maybe 30% of the SPEs in the development of Uncharted 1, whereas they were pretty much maxing out things by the time Uncharted 3 and The Last of Us were launched on the PlayStation 3. So unfortunately, those types of things don't seem to be around anymore with current gen consoles, and it doesn't seem like it's going to continue going into the next generation as well, because we've already heard reports about similar specifications on both the Xbox Scarlet hardware as well as the PlayStation 5. Well guys, I'm going to leave it here for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked this video, you know what to do. Leave me a thumbs up and let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe.
That's what the fuck the Xbox Series S is called, Scarlet. This is the first time I heard somebody call that shit that. Everybody calls that shit the S. I didn't even know that shit stand for Scarlet. You said green shirt, Tro? Yeah, I'm wearing a green shirt. This is the shirt that I'm wearing. It's of this character from... Somebody in the chat is gonna know what character this is. I never knew the name of this character, but I know I've seen him on PlayStation a lot. This fucking guy. This fucking character. You guys don't remember him? What the fuck is this guy's name? What is his name? I don't know his name, bro. I don't know his name. Toro? Oh. Oh, nice. You said, where's the green screen? Bro, my green screen is back at my parents' house. That shit is over there. You said, I remember him on PlayStation Home. Yo, I'm surprised they have never made another version of PlayStation Home. When PlayStation Home came out the first time, that shit blew everybody's mind. I feel like with the technology that we have now, if they were to make another PlayStation Home, that'd be fire. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't know why I feel like a lot of people got scammed in PlayStation Home in terms of like, I don't know. Because there was a lot of kids on that shit. You could have easily asked the kid, like, yo, man, grab your parents' credit card and I'll get you something. And they'd be like, which card? I'd be like, the card with the card that says Visa. Just give me the 16-digit number in the front and the 3-digit code in the back. Like, you know, I feel like you could scam the fuck out of people in PlayStation Home because it was just like an open world of people just interacting and talking. You said they couldn't even get Crash Bandicoot or Spyro for All-Stars. It's not like All-Stars was great. All-Stars was ass. Fans are creating a new version of PlayStation Home.
And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye for now.
Good video. He gave us a lot of good information. What? What's your favorite part of today? I like that too. Yo, I felt that. Yo, this unlocked a memory.
Retro I finna come.